Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk a little bit about kind of general horsemanship, but specifically about the disciplines. And I'm 78 years old. I started riding in 1953. My instructor was a former U.S. cavalryman. And the world then was very different. The horse world was completely different. The sequence of a student's progress started with fundamentals. It was basically balance and learning about the horse and the different gaits, very fundamental stuff, and then developing those fundamentals and then merging them with other fundamentals to create a very secure, effective, and general balanced seat. That was the goal. That goal has changed. Now riders begin with a discipline. We didn't get into disciplines for years. You had to learn how to ride before you started to focus on a discipline. And that's what fundamental horsemanship, authentic horsemanship really is. It's the fundamentals. It involves dressage, and dressage really isn't a discipline. It is now. But dressage, simply translated, means training. Training of the horse and rider. And that's the basis of all riding, really. And some of the great Americans, the Western guys like Ray Hunt and Tom Dorrance, they studied dressage. Small D dressage, training dressage, not modern dressage, capital D, competition with special attire, and et cetera, et cetera. I want to explain what it was like into the 60s and 70s. Things really started to change in the 80s, 1980s. Imagine going to an amusement park, and you go there. Most people have been to one. Some people love the roller coasters. Some people like the bumper cars, the swings. There's all kinds of rides at an amusement park. And when you go to an amusement park, I think very few, if any, people go and they just ride one ride. Although I do know some roller coaster people that do that. They want to go to all the roller coasters, and they go to an amusement park, they ride the roller coasters, and then they go to another one and ride the roller coasters. That's kind of how it is now, that people start riding. They don't know how to ride. They go to a barn. They go to an eventing barn. They go to a dressage barn. They go to a Western barn. They go to a reining barn. They go to a discipline barn, and they learn the discipline from day one. And that's what it's like. That's like going to an amusement park for me and just riding one ride. When I was young and went to amusement parks, I wanted to ride as many rides as I could. I wanted to see which ones I liked, which ones I didn't like. And that's how it used to be with your horse. Horses were what the Australians now call an all-arounder. People might have one or two horses, and in the fall they might start fox hunting. In the spring they might play polo or do trail riding or do gymkhanas or game shows. People did a lot of different things. Horses were cross-trained. By the time I was 40, I was playing polo. I'd been a staff rider, a whipper-in, and a fox hunt with a good pack. I'd done team penning. I love team penning. I think it's the most fun. It's really a lot of fun. I did dressage, eventing. I can't even remember how many things I did. I did a triathlon once, a team thing, where there was a rider, a bicyclist, and a runner. And the runner went out first and then came in, and then it was a relay race. And I was the last guy on the team. And I rode a horse. And I think we went 8 miles with jumps. The bike guys, I think, went 20-something. And the runners went 10 or 15. And anyway, whoever came in, the rider that came in first, which I did, I went out when the bicyclists came in. My team was in fifth, and At the finish, we won. And that was at the Bucks County Horse Park back in the 90s. Anyway, the disciplines now are so specialized, and it started to change in the 80s when the horse world became the horse industry. And it got very commercial, that different disciplines started to compete for riders and for sponsorship. So, you know, and everybody had like a special difference between the other disciplines. Like now the eventers are edgy, and the dressage riders are elite and refined, and the show hunters are whatever. You know, everybody's got a thing. But the problem with this is the fundamentals of horsemanship get skipped over, and the horses don't get cross-trained. The horses do the same thing over and over and over again. And that's not the nature of horses. The nature of horses in nature move around. They have they move for better grass. You know, when it gets warm, they go to higher ground to get grass, and when it gets cold, they come down to lower ground. They move around. They experience a lot of change, and every time they change, they have to be vigilant about what's safe, what's not safe. They're constantly experiencing life as something that changes. That's the nature of the horse. And if you own a horse and you do the same thing every time you ride, you do a dressage test, you do a hunter jumper course, whatever you do the same thing, and that's really hard on horses. And I think that's why we're getting new illnesses and problems with horses. Part of that is horses are kept inside too much now. Horses were out 24/7 when I was young. But anyway, I think, I'm looking at my notes here. Horses want to work. We've bred horses for thousands of years to work with people. The horses that didn't want to work with people got culled out. The horses that couldn't do the work got culled out. So a lot of people today, they want to return to something they consider to be natural. There's no going back to natural with horses unless you get a Mustang, but then you're going to take the nature out of it. You're going to train it and, use it. So the importance of cross-training